We
No, we wasn't muted, but
okay.
we are officially live.
We live. We live. So once again, welcome to Freight Trapping Podcast. I'm your host, James Roberts.
And this is your girl, Tawana Roberts, aka the Queen of Dispatch.
And listen, tonight we have a special guest. He's known in the podcast world. He's known in the transportation industry. He has a #1 trucking podcast today. And I just, like I said before, I'm just glad that he respected my wife and respected her hustle in transportation to say, hey man, I want to come on, I want to talk, I want to rap with y'all, I just want to get on and just have a little bit of fun, you know what I mean? And that's what we all about over here, is having fun. Like you say, we're a new podcast, we getting better. I decided to do a podcast because I wanted to be a co-pilot for those drivers that's on the road and they're getting from one destination to the next. So what I want to do is, or what I wanted to do is, it's going to expand. It's going to do many more things than just what we do. I want to interview those. I'm also going to begin to interviewing those that's on the road, that's in the trucks. While you're in your truck, while you're taking your 10-hour break, even if you're coming off your 10-hour break, I want to interview you because this is what the podcast is for, because I'm a driver. I know how it is to be out on that road, and I want to entertain them, if not for just one day out the week, for a couple of hours. But also I want to give them some information. I want to bring some news to them. I want to bring something for them to look out for while they out there on the road. Even if I get a call and say, hey man, I need to know where the nearest truck stop at. I'm riding down a dark highway on 80, going through Wyoming. You know what I mean? And if somebody call in and say, hey man, right there, I want to be able to give it to them. That's the purpose of my podcast, of our podcast, to inform, entertain our drivers, because I am a driver. So with that being said, I would love for my wife to introduce our guest.
Well, many of you know, I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. I see he's here. He's waiting. He's joined. And I want to just say that I'm extremely grateful, excited to have not only a gentleman who knows a lot about this industry, but a gentleman who has the #1 trucking podcast in the world on here today, who reached out to me. Oh Lord, it's been I think it was like October initially of 2019. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know anything about podcasts. And he said, yeah, I just want to ask you a couple questions. It's going to be cool, yada, yada, yada. And I said, okay. And, I just want to say I'm grateful, because being a part of his podcast has really, really been a blessing to my dispatching business, to my dispatching training.
Right.
I've been able to train. Well, when I started talking to Rahmel, I think I had only been working with a couple hundred people, but things just kind of skyrocketed. And I've been able to work with over 2,000 people individually by myself over the last 19, 20 months now, through my freight dispatch training. And this gentleman gave me an opportunity on his platform. And so I'm extremely grateful and humble and appreciative to have none other on our podcast tonight, Mr. Trucking Hustle himself, the owner of the #1 trucking podcast, Mr. Rahmel Wattley. Unmute your line. He's muted. You have to unmute. It's saying your mic isn't connected, so I can't unmute you. There you go. I think you're unmuted now.
So while we're in, once again, I want to say thank you to the #1 trucking podcast, Mr. Trucking Hustle. Mm-hmm. Oh, I got you. Yeah, that's on us, y'all. That's on us. That's on us. That's on us.
There you go.
That's on us. Hello, sir. How you doing? How you doing?
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Sir.
Can you hear us okay?
Y'all work with us. We still pre-tripping.
I think we're good. I think
we good, Mr. Rahmel?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, we can. Can you hear us? Thumbs
You hear me
up?
now?
No, maybe. Yes.
Yes. We can hear you loud and clear.
Maybe he can't hear us.
Can the guests hear? Can you hear on Instagram?
Let's get this. We're good on here. I mean, nope.
Instagram, okay. Dwight, you can hear? You can hear Rahmel? They're saying they can hear him. He can't hear, you can't hear us? Let me text him.
Can you hear us, Rahmel?
Can you hear us? Let me text him.
Can you hear us, Rahmel? Where is that coming from? Oh, that's coming from him. It's coming from you. We're getting feedback from you. So what we're gonna do tonight, man, we're gonna venture into the world of trucking hustle. While we get all of this technical stuff taken care of, we're gonna venture into the world of trucking hustle. This young man had built his own lane in the podcast world. He's built his own lane and relationships. He's built relationships with brokers, dispatchers, and drivers. We good? Can you hear us? You got us? So he's built on lane and relationships throughout the transportation industry. And so those are people that you put stock in, that you value, because not only, are they good for business, you also know that they're good people. Because when people want to be, want to know you and want to understand who you are and what you're about and where you're going, there's something about your character. It's the quality. We don't about how many people listening. We don't, because this thing is just about information. This thing is like I told you before. This is about
see and hear you. All right, y'all can hear me. Y'all can hear me, but I can't hear you for some reason. Let me see if I can fix the audio on mine. I can't hear y'all.
Okay, go ahead.
Y'all hear me fine?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right,
yes,
let me
sir.
see something.
So he has an amazing.
You take these off.
And he invited my wife over onto the platform. She had a nice time. I dipped in and out on that episode, and man, we had a good time. And dude just I think he got a passion for this. He got a heart for this, which you don't run into a lot in this industry. Basically in life, period. You just got to be cautious about who you give your time. So at the end of the day, this young man was A1, and he is A1. And so we like to think that we're A1, and we got him on, and I'm glad he said yes to the Freight Trapping Podcast. And so we're hoping you got your ears together.
He's still getting connected, but I want to say this because, you know, as he's, you know, working on his end, that
Can y'all hear me?
you may have.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear y'all now. I just disconnected everything. I was actually just podcasting, and maybe this setup is too crazy. I don't know what's going on, but I just not. How does the audio sound? Does it sound okay?
Yeah,
it sounds great.
You're good.
We can hear you loud and clear through Instagram. We can hear you loud and clear over here. But we just want to reiterate. We just was basically letting everyone that's viewing on Facebook, Instagram, and live through YouTube how we met you. You know, how you've impacted, you know, my training. Because when I met you, I think I've had only worked with a couple hundred people. And I've gotten so many new clients, so many new friends I've made that heard your interview that I did with you back in 2019. And I just wanted to say, you know, I appreciate you. I believe in giving people their flowers while they're still on top of the ground and the ground is not on top of them. And so I don't want to just text about it. I don't want to just post about it, but I want to tell you about it. I want to tell you how I appreciate you and how I value everything that you've done in the industry with your podcast and with your platform. And that was one of the reasons why we definitely prayed and was blessed that you were able to attend and come on tonight. So without any further ado, you know, this is Mr. Truck and Hustle himself. They've been waiting on you, bro, at the door.
No doubt. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm honored. I'm honored to be here on the show, on the Freight Trapping Show. You know, let's do it. Let's get into it.
Okay, well, you know, one of the things that I want people to know, and I want to get you to inform them is, you know, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in the transportation and logistics industry, first of all.
Oh, man. All right. So where do I begin? I've been in transportation for 18 years. I started back in 2004. Well, I've been in transportation since 2002, but I actually got into trucking in 2004 when I got my CDL license. So initially, I was working for a company you guys probably all heard of called AAA. That was in 2002. That's when I first got into the transportation industry itself. After that, I started a business with my brother doing some transportation of some temp agency workers. We had some little vans that we were transporting people back and forth to work. And situation happened there to where, you know, that business kind of went awry. And, you know, I was looking for something to do with myself. And at that time, you know, I was, you know, open to anything. I had tried real estate. I had tried some other different avenues. And, you know, I basically found trucking. So I was reading the paper one day, you can make $50,000 being a truck driver. And I was like, all right, cool. It wasn't really my thing. I never thought I would really, you know, get into the transportation in the trucking industry. But I said, hey, why not? I got to feed my family, right? So let me go ahead and get this license. Worst case scenario, I could use it as a backup. I could always have a license. If I do decide to do something else, I could always drive the truck. So I got my CDL in 2004. You know, shortly after that, I realized that driving wasn't for me, right? I had to be real with myself. You know, it just wasn't my thing. I wasn't very comfortable behind the wheel. And, you know, it just wasn't for me. So I was actually on an interview with somebody and, you know, they had some driving positions available and they were also hiring for dispatchers. So I went to talk to this guy. He was a young brother. He's about 30 years old. And, you know, we were talking and I was being very, very honest with him. And I was like, man, you know, I don't know if this driving thing is really for me, but, you know, I'm interested in the industry. And he was like, well, listen, he was like, you know, we actually were hiring dispatchers here. So I was like, you know, at that time, like, what's a dispatcher? I don't even really know I'm not fully, you know, aware of all the lingo and all the terminology at that point yet. I'm still new to the industry. So he's like, you know, basically, you know, a dispatcher is just somebody who manages the drivers, right? We have drivers here, you know, you tell the drivers where to go, and you're basically their supervisor. So I'm like, all right, cool. You know, I'm pretty relatable. I could talk to people, not a problem. I could do that. And, you know, he gave me the job. So my truck driving career was cut very short because as I was entering into the industry, I found this job being a dispatcher, and that was more so my lane. So I was like, cool, I'm comfortable with this because, you know, I know how to work with people. I know how to build good relationships. And, you know, I know how to articulate myself and so forth and so on. And I also know how to do some management as well. Like I said, I was in real estate and I had done some other things prior. So I was comfortable there. So I started dispatching. This was a company. They're out of business now, but this was a small mom and pop company. They were called Bond Transfer. They were based out of Baltimore, Maryland. Basically, they did bottles. They delivered the bottles for Pepsi. So we would basically at the plant, there was a plant called Ball Plastic. I would actually, you know, they would actually originate the bottles from like the resin. The resin would be delivered. They would go into this little machine and they would turn into plastic bottles. And then we ship out 22 pallets of bottles to Cranston, Rhode Island, and different Pepsi plants all across the country. So that's kind of where I got my initial chops in transportation, learning the business. I went on to run that account. There started off as a dispatcher. I ended up, you know, running that entire account as $1 million account. And I just started learning about the business. I got in a freight broker in there. You know, our drivers, we had to broker out freight as well because we didn't have enough assets to handle all the freight. So we broker freight. You know, I had to get freight for the drivers who were deadheading back to come back. So that's when I kind of started getting into freight brokering as well. And that was when, like, you know, before, like, there was a bunch of load boards. Like at that time, there was only that. Like that was the only load board that was around. So everybody used that, DAT. So I did that for a little while. Worked there for about, I think about 5 or 6 years. And then I went to another major carrier who y'all may be familiar with called Ryder. Did work with Ryder for about 6 years, again, in management. Was running that account, was a part of that operation. And then I kind of found my niche. So basically, when I worked for Ryder, they would send a lot of drivers, you know, to Ryder when we had, because basically we had a lot of influx. So we'd have seasonal peaks to where we'd have, you know, we'd need more drivers, right? So they'd send something called temp drivers or lease drivers to that account, right? So I was noticing, like, damn, you know, there's an opportunity here. So basically what I did is I ended up starting my own staffing agency in 2015. And I started bringing on lease drivers, exactly what they were sending to me when I worked for Ryder. I went on to do the same thing. And that's what I did professionally in the industry. So that's like a little bit, and that's what I do now currently as well. So I'm in driver staffing and recruiting. You know, so basically I run a temp agency for CDL drivers. So I work with larger, mid-sized to larger carriers. If they need a driver, you know, we have drivers that work for us directly, and then we'll send our drivers to their companies to help them out when they have, like I said, seasonal peaks, or if they need somebody for a couple months, or whatever that term would be. So that's a little bit about me professionally. I know I'm all over the place, but we'll get it together.
That's what's up.
But I just want to back you up for a moment. You said something. You said something that when you started in trucking, you started out, you went and got your CDL. You did a career move into trucking. So you said that you became a trucker. When did you know that behind the wheel wasn't for you? Because the reason I'm asking you this is because it's a lot of people who get behind the wheel of a truck for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
And you were cognitive enough and man enough to say behind the wheel, not for me.
Yeah.
So speak to those people. I want you to touch on that is because I want you to speak to those people who are behind the wheel for the wrong reason and putting pressure on the professional drivers who are behind the wheel for the right reason.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I've worked with drivers all my life, right? And you know, there's like a little thing that, you know, we kind of say, you know, amongst ourselves, and it's like a driver either has it or they don't, right? You can shake somebody's hand and know if they got it or if they don't. Like when you initially meet a driver, you can usually tell what that driver is capable of, and if they got that it factor, or if they just really don't have it and they're kind of pushing or forcing the issue and they're just kind of doing what they got to do, right? So I was one of those guys who I just knew I didn't have it. Number one, I'm not extremely mechanically inclined, right? That's not my thing, and I know that's if you're driving the truck, you have to be mechanically inclined. Like that's important. Number two, just comfort level, just being in that truck, just feeling like, that was my thing. I just didn't feel it. Like it was more of a means to an end for me. You know what I mean? So I didn't get into it out of passion. I got into it like I didn't know anybody who drove a truck prior. I hadn't been in the tractor trailer prior, so it was just very brand new to me. And it was something that I was like, what, let me try it out. But when I got in there, I said, what, this isn't for me, and this was even prior to even getting into the lifestyle, so I never even really had an opportunity to get into the lifestyle part of it because I cut that short. I just knew the simple operating the truck wasn't for me. I knew I didn't have that it factor that I see in drivers. I've employed over 150 drivers personally, and I've spoken to thousands, and I've dealt with thousands. So right off the gate, what a competent driver. It's funny to say, but it's almost like looks like, sounds like, speaks like. You just know they got it.
Right.
So I just didn't have it.
Right.
So I was very real with myself, and I knew that if I wanted to get anywhere in this industry, that driving wasn't going to be the way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that trucking hustle. I really do.
Yeah, that was good there. My next question is, you say you did the truck driving, you said you tapped into the dispatching, and then you got involved which is now your professional career, into recruiting and staffing. So let's talk about what happened during the course of years you've been in the industry that made you want to start an actual podcast.
Okay, so great question. All right, so last year I started my podcast in July 2019. Being an entrepreneur, I have other people who are entrepreneur friends, right? People who are in business, and I have a lot of people who want to get into business. In my experience in the industry, I noticed a few things. I noticed that, number one, there's a lot of us in this industry. Let me be like straight up. Like there's a lot of Black and brown people in the industry, and I noticed that we more so make up a lot of the workforce, right? We're the drivers. We work in the warehouses. We're the pickers. We're the packers. But I didn't see a lot of it on the ownership side. You know what I mean? I didn't, and the people who I did know who were on the ownership side, they were kind of like on their own little silos, like by themselves, like, and they didn't really talk about their business to anybody else. So, number one, I love podcasting, right? Like I love the medium of podcasts, period. So I've listened to podcasts since they probably started making podcasts. They're just starting to get really popular now. It's like on the audio format, but I've been listening to podcasts for probably the last like 10 or so years. And when I listened to podcasts, they were more so like business podcasts. There was nothing about trucking there. And I always wanted to start a podcast, but I never really made the connection and thought I could really start a trucking podcast because it just didn't really make sense to me, because what I saw out there was nothing about trucking. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, well, I would love to do a podcast and just talk about general business or whatever the case may be. But, I don't know if that would really work. So, and just thinking about it, I was like, man, you know what? I have conversations with different entrepreneurs and different people, and I'm always learning. Like, I'm the kind of person who, I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I know I'm not an expert on many things. I know what I know, and I'm comfortable with that, but I always want to learn more. And I always want to learn more about this business, more about the industry. So I said, you know, a great way to do that is by talking to people. And I have no problem with just, you know, walking up to a stranger and asking them about their business or asking them different questions. But I just put two and two together one day, and I said, you know what, man, I've been in this trucking industry for so long, and you know, I know all these people, and I've heard all these stories, and I want to spread this message of entrepreneurship, especially in my community. So what better way to do that than through an audio platform? You know, number one, you got drivers who are out, you know, on the road, you know, and if anything that they'll always have available is their ears, right? They're not going to be able to necessarily look at a video on YouTube, maybe, but they can always listen. They could always have their earbuds in, and even if they're driving while they're delivering, whatever the case may be, they could always listen. So I said the podcast will probably be a perfect medium for those guys who are currently in the truck, who would like to transfer into entrepreneurship, and not only even if they just want to become an owner operator and own their own truck, there's all these other different opportunities in the industry that if you know the industry and you understand how things work, how the supply chain works, there's other things you may not have even been thinking about that you could possibly do within this industry that's available to you, but you just may not think that you can do it for whatever reason. You may not think you have the resources to do it. You may not think you have the money to do it. You may not think you have the network to do it, whatever the case, whatever that barrier is that's holding you back, right? So I said, you know, starting a business is not as difficult as some people may think. So if I could, you know, have a platform that can show different people that look like us, that are in these positions, that are doing these things on a daily basis, you know, that could kind of start the conversation, and you know, that can also start educating and inspiring people to do the same, because, you know, ultimately ownership to me is the key, you know, to everything in life. I mean, you want to get your time back. You want to be able to have control of your day. You know what I mean? You have to have, it's all about ownership. So I felt that was a powerful way to spread that message. And I thought the podcast was a perfect way to do it.
You know, as we sat up and talked about our guests when we began the podcast, Tawana said, I gotta get Rahmel on. I gotta get the truck and hustle man on. And she said, what you think? And like you, I several podcasts about 2 or 3 years, and not even podcasts related to trucking, right? Because I wanted to get a feel for content. I wanted to get a feel for information. I wanted to get a feel for how to deliver that information. And this podcast thing was brewing in us for about 2 or 3 years. It was just always like, and then Tawana was like, I'm finna move. I'm finna dispatch. I'm finna do that. I said, go get it. So right. You always hear about the woman behind the man pushing him, having his back. I actually was the man behind the woman pushing her back, because I was feeding her everything she needed to know from me. Whatever she needed to know, whatever. I didn't go tell her anything. I needed for her to come ask. Because once she ran into a hurdle, that's my opinion, I gave it to her, then she did whatever she needed to do and put everything together, right? So I was just like, cool. And so she was like, man, you need to think about this, think about that, think about this. When she told me she was going to do your podcast, I watched your podcast and I said, let's go. I said, let's go. And then I said this before, there's no way we're coming in this thing trying to, you know, cut anybody off or anything like that. We're coming in this thing running beside you, taking another place.
Yeah.
And so, another space. And so for me, that space was, you wanted to see what drivers and an owner operator, for me, anybody who have truckers that doing themselves a disservice if they think those truckers are not thinking about a better future for themselves than just driving a truck for them, right? So when you said that you started a podcast to give those truckers another out, meaning the business side of trucking, because you do get stuck into that mode of I'm a driver, I'm a hustler,
Right.
because that's what trucking is, a hustle.
Right.
Because I'm about a vamp life. When I was driving when I was driving over the road, I still drive trucks. But when I was driving over the road, man, I never moved during the day. If I was leaving Houston going to California, man, I'm probably getting up at 8, 9 o'clock at night, rolling. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So for me, we were part of that vamp life. We were at night life. We were part of hitting that highway when everybody else was asleep. And that was the perfect time for us to just tune into whatever music we was on, tune into whatever we were studying. And you hit a point, man. You got on and you was giving those guys the business aspect of trucking that never thought about, damn, man, before I go get my own truck, I need to know what this dude is talking about.
Right.
You did? Right. Because a lot of people get into this trucking thing and they do it the wrong way. And that's why we started this alongside what you were already doing, was helping people do this thing the right way and not fail.
Yeah.
So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
And the thing about it is that you've been able to meet some amazing people throughout the United States. I've watched, multiple interviews you've hosted on your podcast. And I mean, to me, it's like everybody brings a wealth of knowledge, you know what I'm saying, and experience. And I don't look at it, as knowing everything or anything like that. It's just a wealth of knowledge. And it's so funny that James brought that up and said that you have paved the way with your trucking podcast to allow drivers that were out there on the road to see that there's other avenues in this industry outside of just driving the truck. Because it's so funny that he brought up, because I do a lot of consultation. I do about 7 to 8 consultations a day, Monday through Friday.
No,
Monday through Thursday. I think I can't.
Sunday.
Well, I'm always working, but I think my schedule is open like Monday through Thursday or Monday, Friday, and I do literally probably no less than 5 consultations. And out of the 5 consultations I do, at least 3 of them have seen my podcast interview with you.
Right.
And it be men, it be women that drive the truck, and they was like, look, I was looking at Truck and Hustle and I heard your interview and I've been driving for X, Y, and Z years, and now I want to do dispatching, right? Or I want to get involved in freight brokering, and you have helped pave that way. You have been the influence with the guests that you've brought on that have so much knowledge in different lanes in the industry that people are now saying, that they necessarily don't just want to be a trucker, especially if it's not in their heart and it's not a passion, because it's a difference between a trucker and a professional driver. There's 2 different people. You know what I'm saying? Right. So we appreciate you for that. And, for bringing all of these different interviews to the forefront, bringing all of this knowledge for free. I mean, that's what people always saying. Everybody want to put a number on something, but you have Truck and Hustle that has been blessing us with a wealth of knowledge for almost 2 years going into next year for free game, So we appreciate you for that. We really do. I want to ask you also, longevity wise, like what is your ultimate goal with this podcast and what you're able to help contribute to the industry? Because we just definitely pointed out that you've been able to bless a lot of people with changing their lane, you know what I'm saying, and what they're doing in the industry. But what was your ultimate goal, or what is your ultimate goal with what you're building with your podcast for the transportation and logistics industry? I don't want to just trucking, because it's deeper than that at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's you're talking about, truck drivers, you're talking brokers, you're talking about dispatchers, you're talking about safety and compliance. One of my clients, I'm teaching her and working with her on how to add a service to her dispatching program. You know, you don't want to just be the same dispatching service. You have to bring something to the table. And so, you know, tell us a little bit about what's your ultimate vision for what you want in the transportation industry as far as your podcast is concerned.
Yeah. So I'm very mission driven and purpose driven. My mission is to, you know, is to bring as much people, as much information, as much resources, as much tools, and as much access as possible. How that happens, that evolves every day. The podcast has grown into much more than I knew it would be at, you know, today. I mean, if I could have predicted that it would be what it is right now at, you know, a year and a half ago, I can't say that I would have done that. You know, I would have thought the growth would have been a little bit slower probably. But, you know, as far as my main goal is to educate and just create a community where people can feel safe and feel comfortable learning about this industry. And along with that feeling of safety, also have all the resources and all the tools and all the network that they need. I call everybody who comes on my show and everybody who listens to my show, the Hustle Fam, because that's really what it is. It's like a family to me. Outside of even just having these interviews, every time I have an interview with a new person, I'm adding a family member. I'm building a network. Behind the scenes, we have one of the most powerful trucking communities out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and every the audience, they hear the interviews, but also behind the scenes, we're connecting entrepreneurs with other entrepreneurs. There's people who listen to the show that are coming into the mix, that are getting started with their businesses. I'm watching people who have started their business actually watching and, you know, listening to the show. And now, you know, a year and a half later, they have full-fledged legitimate businesses that has been grown, you know, just off the back of just that spark that Truck and Hustle gave them. And then they're able to make the connections with people who are on the Truck and Hustle show. And then they reach out to me. And if there's a piece that's missing or, you know, a gap that I could fill, I could, you know, connect them with this person. So we're building like a community. So it's much larger than a podcast. It's just it's really a community. And the platform itself is just a place where I want to just bring people into that pipeline to where they know that it's possible to fulfill this dream of entrepreneurship. It's very doable, and, you know, but it's going to take some hard work. And that's why we like to add the story aspect to the show. Like, I like to get into the stories to show where people came from, to show that, you know, we all come from the same places. We all have similar backgrounds. We've all, you know, made the same mistakes, but there's a light at the end of that tunnel. And if you keep on pushing, you can make it happen too. And it doesn't have to take 5 years. It doesn't have to take 10 years. It could take 6 months. You know what I mean? It all depends on the matter of the amount of commitment and dedication that you have as an individual to make it happen. So as far as like where I see the podcast, I think sky is the limit for the platform itself and what Truck and Hustle could be. Truck and Hustle is like it's a movement. Truck and Hustle is a hashtag. Truck and Hustle is whatever it means to you. You know what I mean? Whatever you feel when you listen to that show, or when you interact with the different people on the show, or when you interact with the other people in the community who also listen to the show, and you share ideas with each other and you start bouncing, you know, things off each other and so forth and so on. Like, that's what Truck and Hustle is. So I look at it more as just a movement and just a way of life and just a community and something that can be just like, man, it's Truck and Hustle. Like, this is what we do. Truck and Hustle, you know what I mean? Like that's what it is. So I just want to keep on growing it. And, you know, I have plans to build the platform and start adding more resources and more tools for people to be able to access, you know, but for right now, it's just a matter of just really continuing to tell those stories and continuing to just build that network and just create, like I said, a safe place for people to learn. And like you said, it's also free, so you could just, just come on the podcast, scroll through the titles, see what interests you, see what you like, and just start anywhere. You know what I mean? And that's the amazing thing. Like a lot of people, I'll tell, to check out the show, like, friends and family that haven't listened to the show, and they'll be like, yeah, I'll check it out or whatever. And they may have been like ignoring me for like the past 6 or 7 months. And then when they finally listen to the show, they're like, man, this show is dope, man. Like, I didn't know there was so much things you could do in trucking. Like, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about government contracting. Oh, you could be a dispatcher. You don't need a truck. Oh, you could be a freight broker. Oh, you could just do compliance. There's so much different things you could do once you get into this industry that people just don't look at. And you can really retrofit your life to whatever you want to do. And that's what I always tell people. That's my advice. Like, think about the kind of life you want to have. Think about what you want your lifestyle to be, and retrofit your plans for your lifestyle and build your business around that. Because ultimately, you don't want to step out of working for a job and then build yourself another prison through whatever job, entrepreneurial job you create for yourself. Right? You don't want to hate what you do. Love what you do. You know what I mean? Have passion. So I tell people, like, think about how you want your life to be. Think about how that looks, what that looks like for you, and then start building your life around that. And then the most important component to any of that is just education. Just education. Educate yourself before you get into anything, because learn from the people on this platform's mistakes. Learn from other people's mistakes. That's why mentorship is so important, because you could just save yourself a lot of time, headache, energy, and effort just by learning from people's mistakes. And that's really what it's about. That's the key.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Yeah, 100%.
How can I put this and not? I kind of stayed out of those communities, because as a trucker over the years, I've seen so many people get into this part of business, get into this part of the hustle, and just get in it for a quick fix. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Get into it. This, hey man, this a trend right now. Let me go and get what I can while I can, and I'm gonna get out. And I got a problem with that, B. You understand what I'm saying? I got a problem with that, because if anybody knows, when they talk to me, I got passion for this.
Right.
And I don't play games with it.
Right.
I don't play games with people's money. I don't play games with people's future. So like you said, when you could shake a driver hand and know whether he's worthy or not to be behind that wheel, that's how I feel when I come into contact with the business side of the game. You understand?
Yeah.
So for me, it's hard for me to build. Not hard, but it's hard for you to get in with me just because you say I'm part of this hustle.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying?
I dig it.
Because everybody's not in it for the same reason.
Yeah.
And so you a hustler. You got trucking hustle. You dig what I'm coming from? You felt my wife. You understood where she was coming from. You felt the energy coming off of her. So you knew she was good. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, when trucking hustle met up with, you understand what I'm saying? When you met up with the trap, it's a lot of things that took place, like you said, behind the scenes that made this happen.
Right.
And so how do you come in contact with a lot of people?
Yeah.
How do you discern between those who in it for the trend and those who in it for being a hustler in the game for real?
Yeah. I mean, so before I interview anybody or bring them on my platform, I speak with them first. Like your wife will tell you, like we had multiple conversations before she was even on the show. And I like to see where somebody's heart is at, because number one, I know that my platform is going to bring them a lot of attention. Number one, right? So if let me rewind. There's different kinds of people that come on my show. There's people who have businesses, right? There's people who just run their business. There's people who have other offerings in addition to their business. They sell courses, curriculum, so forth and so on, right? And I'm cool with all of that because ultimately I want to give everybody a voice. As long as you come with good intentions and good heart, that's what means the most to me. So I like to reach out. I mean, and obviously, now the platform has grown to where people reach out to me to be on the platform. Whereas when I just got started, I had to reach out to people, right? So it was different. So the tables have kind of turned now. So initially, I would just have to kind of like, obviously, when you're reaching out, you use the channels that you can to reach out. Social media, right? So forth and so on, just word of mouth. Somebody tells you about somebody, you reach out. So I'm always going to make that first initial call. And I'm just going to have a conversation with you. It doesn't take long for you to, understand somebody's intention and understand their heart and understand who they are and what they're about. You know what I mean? It's you can tell the people who care about what they do, who are passionate about what they do, who are guarded about their craft. Even like speaking about your wife. When I first talked to your wife was guarded about her craft because she protected it. She cared about it. She was passionate about what she did. So she didn't want to just get on any platform per se because she didn't know about Truck and Hustle at that time. It was new to her, right? So she's protecting her name and protecting her brand, right? So she had to get to know me. So just like I was interviewing her, she was interviewing me as well because she wanted to see where my heart was at and what my intentions were. And at that time, she probably had to go back and do her research and listen to some previous shows and say, okay, I see where this guy is coming from. I see what he's about. I feel comfortable with sharing my knowledge on his platform. Right. So that's kind of the same thing that I do in reverse. I do see what you're saying as far as trucking being trendy and people getting into it for the right or wrong reasons. I mean, there's different people that come into this industry. There's people who have a lineage of trucking, right? Who they grew up around trucks. They had a father or a grandfather who drove trucks, and it's just in their lineage, it's in their blood. Right. And they're just carrying on tradition. The torch was passed to them and they're carrying a torch. Right. And then you have the people who just see the investment opportunities in the transportation industry. Right. They see that, hey, man, if I buy a truck for this much and get a load for this much, I can make this much. Right. Then you have people who don't even see any of that. They just see people buying trucks and they want to buy trucks, too. Right. Because it's like, man, I'm seeing all these people take pictures on Instagram in front of their truck. I want to take a picture in front of my truck too. You know what I mean? There's those kind of people, unfortunately, as well. And, all of that is what it is. You can't stop any of that. That's going to be what it's going to be. Right. So I've learned to just accept it for what it is. However, all I can do is try to present the information and present the resources and put the right stuff out there. So whoever you are, whichever one of those categories you fall in, I want to be able to help you. If you're that person who just wants to post up on the gram in front of your truck, that's cool. That's what you want to be. That's fine. But at the same time, if I can offer something to make you think about this business a little bit deeper and understand that not only do you have a business that is a cash flow business that's going to make you money, but you also have people's lives in your hand when you send out that truck, right? What are you thinking about in terms of safety? What are you thinking about when you hire your drivers? Are you screening your drivers correctly? Are you getting them drug tested? Are you looking at MVRs? Are you looking at PSPs? Are you looking at all these things? These are the different things that they might not be thinking about, but through a platform like Truck and Hustle, they get exposed to that. And now they say, you know what? Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe I have to take a step back in my business and take this a little bit more seriously, because if I don't, I can have an accident that could kill a family of 4, and I could be, sued for millions of dollars, and all of these things, these bad things that could happen. And, quite honestly, we try to focus on the positive, but through focusing on the positive, the truth and all the stories and everything just comes out. I don't want to scare anybody away from this industry because I want more people to come. You know what I mean? I want people to be involved, but at the same time, I want them to know the truth. I want them to know what really goes down. And the only way to do that is through telling real stories. It's through getting people who have the experience, who have been a part of this industry, to tell their stories and to share their truths. So I don't judge anybody for where they're at in the journey, right? For where they're at in the journey. If you want to be that person on the gram, that's cool. If you want to be a passive investor and you don't want to see your truck, that's cool. If you have passion because you've been doing this for 3 generations, that's cool. My show and my platform is for all of you. My thing is, let me help get the right information out there. So wherever you are in that journey, whatever your experience is, I can help add to that, and we could try to, just do better. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, like I said, man, this industry is serious. It's not a game. Once you become a owner of a tractor trailer, you have a responsibility. You know what I mean? You have a responsibility. You put a driver out there on the road, you have a responsibility not only to the people who you impact with that driver being on the road, but also that driver and that driver's family. You have a responsibility. So if you don't acknowledge these responsibilities, number one, you're probably not going to last long in the game. There's not much longevity for those kind of people, right? So they're going to end up weeding themselves out. So you can't much worry about them. You know, those kind of people, they'll weed themselves out. But my hope is, I want to build entrepreneurship and ownership in our community. So if they are attracted by the flashy lights and by the trendiness and by the sexiness of it, that's fine. But when you get here, let's learn to do it right. And let's run a profitable but safe business.
See, that's what happened when the hustle meets the trap. That passion. That's what happens when the hustle meets the trap. And I'm gonna tell y'all, everybody listening from Instagram to Facebook to YouTube, we got a call-in number. Man, this is y'all chance to hit up Rahmel. Yeah, ask him anything you want. I'm on my line right now. I'm waiting for somebody to call in and ask him anything you want to say, a comment on the podcast, comment on our podcast. The number is 727-731-2494. 727-731-2494. Go ahead, wifey.
Yes, that's what happens. Because that passion came out, and that's the crazy part, because you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but you're right. Like, I didn't do any research on you. No, I didn't do any research on you. I did ask one person about you, and that's, you already know who I asked, Tristan, because that's my girl. Me and Tristan been friends way before all this came up, and she and I used to be broker agents together. So she, told me, come do this with me, and I did it. And it's so funny because you're right. I got into this business back in 1999. See, my history with it runs deep as well. I was a dispatcher for the local transit authorities here. That's where I got my passion for the business. But when I did your podcast, you brought so much out of me, things that I really didn't even remember. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't scripted. It's not like you said, questions before we sat down. So I was nervous because I was like, what is this man going to ask? But the questions you asked really showed me where it all started. Yeah. I mean, like, I've really been in this industry for 2 decades, and I've been able to dispatch. I've been able to be an owner operator. I've also have started my own successful dispatching business. Because of your podcast, I went deeper with the education aspect of it. But then I told you on my podcast, I said, in 6 months, I'm gonna have a training academy. And I did it in 4 months during a pandemic, and was recognized by the city of Houston. And then on top of that, we became partners with Region 6 with Texas Workforce to do what? To, bring more opportunities in the community. And I think that a lot of that, I can definitely say I got, and the hustle came more so from, being on your podcast and listening to multiple interviews. It's just like, it's nonstop. It's like I'm addicted. And then, bro, I went in the summer and got my pilot escort license for oversized loads. I don't talk about that.
Nice.
Don't talk about that, but it's, this is our passion. That's what I love about this industry.
That's the goal, Tawana. Like, I really want to, I want to shine a light on. I always say, if we don't tell our own stories, who will? And it's so important for me to shine a positive light on the people in this industry, what we're doing. Because I mean, we truly are the backbone of the economy. You know, we know that trucking keeps America going. And it's like real life, everyday superheroes, right? That don't get the credit, don't get the respect that they deserve. And, you know, anytime somebody comes on my show, I let them know, listen, I will not put you in any positions that will make you feel uncomfortable. You know, I want people to be able to be comfortable and be the best versions of themselves on my show and feel comfortable with sharing. I mean, I know a lot of people who have been on my show, maybe have never even done a podcast before or never spoke before. So it's like you're in a position to where you have somebody questioning you about your business and you may not even think about these things all the time. It's even weird for me to be on the other side of the podcast where I'm being asked the questions because it's like I'm used to asking questions, you know? So I respect that. And it's like, I always tell people, listen, I'm gonna make this show as comfortable as possible. You know, just feel like you're talking to a cousin that you haven't seen in a few years or whatever the case may be. And ultimately, the goal is for you to be able to shine and be the best version of yourself and be able to let that person permeate through the airwaves and let the people hear who that person is. And then you can connect and make other inroads from there. But yeah, man, it's dope. And I gotta say, like, earlier you had mentioned something about, like, you know, y'all starting a podcast and all that, and you're not doing it to get in the way, but to add on. Listen, the mission, and this is very important. And this, if y'all don't listen to anything that I have to say tonight, whoever's listening, listen to this, right? The mission is the people, right? The mission is the people first and foremost. Any educator, any person who has a platform, any influencer, if you say that the mission is the people, then you don't care about who else is in the space because it doesn't matter. As long as the other people in the space are bringing good information to the people, that's all that matters. Yeah. It's not a competition over who could do it better, who can get more views, who can do this, that's corny, right? Because ultimately we're all serving the people, right? So by you doing your podcast, me doing my podcast, man, 1,000 other podcasts need to start up, as long as you have the same mission, right? If your mission is to help get this information out here, we need more people starting podcasts. We need more people creating platforms, creating communities, because that's the only way the information is going to be out there. I can't reach everybody. Everybody's not going to listen to me. Everybody doesn't want to listen to me. People might not like my voice. People might not like the questions I ask. Right. It's fine, but they might like the way that you and your husband put it, and that's cool. As long as we stay on top, focus on the mission, that's what's important. And ultimately, we have businesses outside of this. That's gonna fall into place. You're gonna get your money. You're gonna do all that. All that's gonna be fine. Don't worry about that. You stay focused on the prize, which is the mission, which is helping people. And that's just something that I want to put out there, because I don't do the competition thing. It's all collaboration for me. You know what I'm saying? When y'all asked me to be on this show, I didn't hesitate for 2 seconds. I said, please, because it's about reciprocity, right? When Truck and Hustle was just coming up, and I didn't have the name and the recognition that I had now, you lend your brand and yourself to me, right? You added value to my show. So how would I look not showing the reciprocity, and now when you're doing your show, not coming back on and sharing and spreading that same love? It don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? It's all about reciprocity, and we need more people out here like yourselves doing this type of thing, because also what it does is it opens up doors for all of us, right? If Truck and Hustle goes and knocks down doors and creates these big opportunities and sponsorship deals and all that, and then now you can come alongside Truck and Hustle, and then somebody else can come. We're opening doors and opportunities for all of us. More of us need to be doing this type of stuff. If we sit back and we're in competition with each other, you know, like they say, if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. Like, that's real. The only way we go far is by creating communities and having alliances like this, to where we're all doing the same thing. We all have the same mission, and we all just keep on pushing that thing forward, man. And eventually we all gonna bust down the doors. And that's what it's about. So like, I love it. I love what y'all doing. I love the name. I love everything. I love the fact that it's a husband and wife couple. That is so important to me, showing that power and unity. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to see more of that. Like, that's dope, man. That's the thing. Like, take it, put your spin on it, make it happen, and get out there, man. If it's in your heart to do it to help people, go out there and serve. You know, that's what it's about.
You preaching now, boy. I'm telling you, you live. The people are commenting. They was like, this is it. This is what the people need. And I'm just so glad you said that, because you watch me, Rahmel. I'm quiet. I'm laid back. I'm not the person that, I'm just reserved, but I will serve and help, any way I can in any capacity. And that's what it's all about, is being a servant leader, at that, is being able to just do it kind-hearted, being with all sincerity and being genuine about it. And that's what I'm all about. So I appreciate it. Yeah, we definitely are grateful to have you. Just like I know you were appreciative to have when I was there, 2019. I think James wanted to say something. Do you have something? Because I only had one more question, because Rahmel, he just answered all of my little questions.
Hey, check this out. You can go ahead and ask your question, because the way I talk to Rahmel, man, we sitting in the trap.
Yeah.
We talking about hustling, and we talking about different stuff, bro. So you might well go around and ask your last question.
Let's get it. I'm ready. Listen, I'm just getting warmed up. We could do this. I'm ready. Talk to me.
You already spoke on it, though. You said it while you were talking. This was one of the questions: how important is research? Because one of the things that I tell people all the time when I do consultation is, after I tell them, do your own due diligence, do your own research. I always forward them to Truck and Hustle, because I know that you have a wealth of content and knowledge there. Yeah. So I tell people, hey, look at these podcasts out here that talk about, first of all, not just trucking, which is yours, but business in general, because a lot of these people don't even know how to set up a LLC. And one of the things that I do is in my training manual, I do tell them, that they need to get that in order. I tell them to go to your podcast if they know different pieces of the of this industry, and then do their own due diligence. So I heard you say that earlier. So that was you answering the question, because you definitely believe in the same thing as saying, hey, get yourself some information, research the industry. Don't just hop in it. Don't just get in it, because I'm seeing down my timeline, since I did your podcast, bro, it seemed like, I don't know where all these people come from, but there's so many truckers on my page. There's so many people in the industry now on my page. I'm like, what these people was at, back when I was started a truck company. I don't know any of these people, but I'm seeing people taking pictures of 18-wheelers, and I just bought my first truck. And I'm like, man, I just want them to know this is a deep industry, man. This is a dope industry. And it's bigger than just trying to get in and get a quick dollar. You can build and create generational wealth in this industry, and you can generate multiple 6 to 7 figures out of multiple pieces in this industry. It's bananas, and you basically said it. Do your research, do other than, your platform. Do you give out any other resources on how they can find information specifically to the industry?
Yeah, so basically people ask me all the time, my advice on different things. And I like to, tell people what you just now said. Don't take anybody's word for it, right? Like the podcast is a platform to mainly spark your mind, right? Mainly give you ideas and give you different thoughts that you may have not had previous, right? To maybe listening to a particular episode. So that's what the main intent is. Mm-hmm. Now, the second part of that is to now educate you on that particular business or whatever the case may be. Now, the important part to that is you have to still use your own discernment. Just because somebody comes on my platform and says something doesn't mean that they're A-OK. Everything is 100% accurate. What they said is going to be right. Right. You have to, now that you have that idea in your mind, you have to go and take that a couple of steps further. right? You have to go do your Googles, do your researches. If you want to connect with that person on a deeper level and you want to ask them more questions and find out, more information, that's what you have to do. But I always tell people, start there. The podcast is meant to inspire you. It's going to inspire you, and it's going to give you ideas that you may have not had before listening. Now, once you have that inspiration, you've heard this amazing story about how this person came from this struggle and this situation, and now they got this and that. Okay, cool. Now you're inspired. Now you're ready to go. You're all pumped up. Now you say, all right, how do I get here? How do I do this? This is a opportunity that I know is real, that I know I can actually do. It's tangible because I've seen somebody who looks and sounds just like me do it. All right, now I got to start taking the next steps. And what those steps are, there's multiple steps. Number one, do your own research. Do your own research.
Yeah.
Right. I tell people just don't feel as though, just because somebody's on Truck and Hustle that, oh, I'm just going to go and I'm going to pay them. I'm going to give them my money and they're going to just take care of everything and to wash my sins away. It don't work like that. That's not reality. Right. You connect with some dope people on a Truck and Hustle platform. Don't get me wrong, but it's up to you. Ultimately, right? Business, and this is just general business, trucking, any business you want to get into, right? Business is 20% knowledge, information, resources, right? And just 80% execution, right? And just and that execution is going for it, going to get it. What do you have within you that drive, that passion? How when are you going to stop? Will you quit? All of that is what's going to make 80% of if you're going to make it and you're going to be successful or not. The 20% of the information, that's easy. That's the easy part. That's the easy part. Right. Information is out there. Somebody can tell you how to do it, but are you going to take that information and are you going to apply it? Are you going to make it happen? That's where it really takes, that's where you really see the true, the grit and determination of who that person really is. Right. So I tell people all the time, like, yeah, the show is cool, but that's only getting you, 20% of the way, man. You gotta go after it. You gotta do the rest of that work. It's not just gonna happen. Paying for a course is not just gonna automatically overnight just make you a millionaire. It doesn't work like that. A course will help. A course will guide you. There are very, very good courses out there and they'll guide you. They'll give you steps and all that good stuff. But ultimately, if you don't follow those steps, if you don't follow those directions, you don't implement what that person is telling you and you don't do it the right way, then you just wasted your money and your time. You know what I mean? So it's all about execution. So, I don't know. I don't even know if I answered the question or if it was a question, but I just went off on
I got one of my newest dispatch clients. He just signed up. I just seen his comment on Instagram and he wanted to say, Mr. Rahmel, I just wanted to thank you for the people that you bring to your podcast. If it wasn't for your podcast, Truck and Hustle, he wouldn't have discovered me. And he said, thank you for being so inspiring to young Black men. That's what a gentleman just said, Mr. Terrence out of Florida.
That's dope.
I want to say these Instagram names be so crazy.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's what we do it for, man. There's enough negativity out there. We have to start flooding social media and these live streams with positivity. I know it doesn't get the views and the clicks and the reposts and the shares as much as the Shade Room and the Tea Shop and the Coffee House, whatever y'all listen to, whatever y'all consume during the day. It's not as fun. It's not as funny, but we have to take a little bit of that out of our diet and start adding some of these platforms that are trying to add some value to your life, and I want to build my platform based off of education, information, and inspiration, not buffoonery, not foolishness. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a quick dollar there too. We could get up there and play, but at the same time, like, that's not where we're about. And I think that's so important that we're doing what we're doing because we're building a platform. We're taking the stairs. It's not easy to get attention when you're trying to give out information and educate people, because sometimes people's attention spans, they only got 5 seconds and they would rather watch a TikTok video. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it real. But when you're able to keep people's attention, you know, and educate them, that's special, man. And we just need more of that. And that's why I said, like, we need more platforms like what you're doing, man, because it's so important. And we just got to keep on pushing forward.
So educate me on driver placement, because you say that's what you do.
Yeah.
Me personally, I've had the opportunity. I never understood a driver going into being a temp driver, because for me, my license is like a master's degree in my wallet.
Yeah.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? Because I got every endorsement you ever want to think of. I got my TWIC card. I can go into any place you need to go in order for a load to be picked up. So for me, as being that professional driver, having all of those qualifications on my license, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's because we, even outside of trucking, just warehouse workers, right?
Yep.
Going through a temp agency, it's a negative sight on them. The way we see them is negative because you're getting a percentage, the way we see it, and I want you to clear it up.
Yeah.
The way we see it is a percentage of my money to put me on the job to make money, right? So why should I, as a driver, go through a temp agency to be employed? I can answer that, but I want you to answer that because I know it's some drivers that may have heard that you can help out with. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different answers to that question. All right. So I'm gonna start with the first part that you said. You have a master.
Walk light, take your time.
No doubt. All right. So yeah, I'm not gonna ruffle any feathers right now, right? I'm gonna keep it very, very PC. So I'm gonna start with your first point. You said you have a master's degree, sir, right? You have a master's degree, and that is what I call the golden ticket, right? You have a golden ticket. You could walk into any company, they're gonna pull your MVR, they're gonna look at your history, and they're gonna say, man, hire him on the spot yesterday, right? Because you have a golden ticket, you have a clean license. That's a golden ticket. Unfortunately, everybody, number one, doesn't have that golden ticket, right? And they don't have the opportunities that you do. So that there are drivers that are in a position to where they can't get any job they want, right? They can't walk into any building and say, hey, look at my golden ticket, hire me on the spot, right? Because they have some issues, right? So, you know, those drivers may have an opportunity with me. Now, don't get me wrong. They still have to meet certain criteria. You can't, you know, I can't pull your MVR and I roll it out like one of those old school scribes. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to go down like that. You know, so we have hiring criteria. We have standards that we have to meet, and our standards always meet our customers' standards, right? So, and all of our customers have different standards. So we're able to present opportunities to drivers that they may not have, you know, just on the free market, right? Part two of that question, or part two of that is a lot of drivers are at different stages of their career, right? You have drivers who are in their prime, right? Brother has perfect license. They're in their prime. They know where they want to be. They know where they want to work, right? And they're comfortable doing what they're doing. A temp situation may not suit them because they know exactly where they want to go, right? But then you have drivers who have been over the road for a year, right? They were just over the road and they're looking to get off of being over the road. They're looking to get out of that, but they don't know exactly what local job they want to work at yet. They haven't found an opportunity yet, right? So a temp agency presents an opportunity for them to kind of play the field, right? It gets them off the road. Now they have a local driving job. They have a local position. They could work. They could be home with their family. So they're out of that situation where they're over the road and they're working for what they feel is pennies on the dollar. And they could work for an agency and they can kind of play the field and learn about the different opportunities that are in their area, right? So that's another type of driver. Then you have a driver that's semi-retired, right? This driver only wants to work on Saturdays, Mondays, Tuesdays, and he want to spend the other days with his old lady, right? And he wants to chill. He don't want to work that hard, but he don't mind. His wife probably has insurance, or he has insurance through some other means or whatever the case may be. And he's chilling, but he don't mind making a couple extra dollars. But mind you, his is clean, and he's good to go. His brother been driving safely for 20 years, and he's like, "Yo, Rahmel, I don't mind working a couple days with you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Making a little extra money. Cool. Come on." So the agency is compiled of all those different types of drivers, right? You have the three type of categories I named: the semi-retired guy. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and then I missed one. There's another driver that just loves flexibility and don't want to work for one person in particular. They just want to be able to work when they want to work. They want to be able to make their own schedule, right? And they don't want to be tied down to saying, "Hey, you got to work these days a week," or whatever the case may be, whatever their schedule may be. And they just want to have that freedom, right? So that's another driver. So you have a gumbo of all those different types of drivers: semi-retired, driver who likes the flexibility, the driver who's young, who's been driving for 6 months to a year, who wants to get off from over the road and wants to be a local driver. These are all different opportunities that a temp agency presents them, right? So now they can kind of feel their way, see what opportunities are out there, and then they can make their next move. Some drivers you'll find will stay with a temp agency forever. They'll be temp drivers for years, and they'll make a career out of it because they just like it. Right now, that's the driver side. Now, to answer your question about as a temp driver, why would you give me a percentage of the money that I'm basically making, so forth and so on, right? That question you asked, basically, I'm taking a percentage of your money to send you to work, right? That's kind of what you were saying. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So to answer that, what a lot of people don't realize is there's a lot of costs that go into hiring drivers, right? There's a lot of costs. One of the biggest costs is workers' compensation, right? You have to have your regular, of course, your general liability, but your workers' compensation is also medical benefits if you provide them, right? There's onboarding costs. There's ATS systems that we have to have for tracking. There's drug testing, right, that we have to do annually. Now we have the clearinghouse, right? We have to continuously run MVRs. There's all these different costs that come with recruiting, right? Just marketing, advertising, right? That you're not really seeing because all you know is that you're just getting hired and you're going to work, but you don't know all the costs that it takes just to get you on the phone to even begin the process of hiring you, right? Then maintaining your DQ file, right? Keeping you compliant, and then paying the insurance costs that a lot of companies, larger companies, don't want to pay, because basically a lot of these companies want to be able to increase and decrease their driver pool at the snap of a finger. So they use a temp agency because they don't have to take on all those additional costs to hire people that they may not need all the time, right? So these companies may go from needing 60 drivers to 80 drivers on Christmas week. That's when they're calling me, but I'm footing all those costs previously. Those are all the costs of doing business for me. So we have to charge some type of markup in order to pay for that. And then of course it's a business. So we're in business to make money, but the profit margins that you think that we make are not as large as you would think because there's so much cost involved. So you look at it as we're just sitting behind a desk sending you to work, but you know, we do have costs involved, and then we have the administrative portion, and then we have to actually be there. We have to dispatch you. We have to schedule you. We have to maintain, relationships with the customers. We have contracts with these customers that we have to negotiate. Their penny pension, they don't want to pay. So it's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes that you really don't see as a driver. And I definitely understand how you would see it that way. But like I said, the margins aren't that much. It's really a volume game to where we have to have as many drivers as possible to really start seeing and making money. It's a volume game. So like I said, we're providing a service that's a necessary evil. I know a lot of companies don't like using temp drivers because of the fact that they're not trained, right? And, you know, they kind of come, and a lot of times they may come and tear up the equipment. They may come in, you know, just not do the job properly. But we try to do things a little bit differently, to where we have those conversations up front. We try to make sure we bring on the right people, right? You know, me personally, I bring on a lot of people who are just already in my network, word of mouth, drivers who I've known for years. Like I said, I've been in this industry for 18 years. So I got a Rolodex in my phone alone of thousands of drivers who I could just call and be like, yo, bro, you working? What you doing? Oh, you not working? Yo, come on with me for a little bit. All right, cool. So I'm blessed to be in a position to be able to just reach out to my network and not have to take in a lot of new blood, right? Because the new blood it's scary, because now you're dealing with a person. Not only do you have to deal with them from a safety perspective of how they drive the truck, but now you got to deal with their whole personality. You don't know if this dude's going to walk off the load, how dependable he is, and all of that is going to impact your relationship with the customer. You know what I'm saying? So it's a tough business. It's a tough business where, you know, I liken it to kind of like dispatching, to what your wife does, because the same way a driver may look at us and say, what y'all do? Y'all just sit back behind a computer and just, you know, push buttons all day and get paid off of our hard work and effort. Yes, we do sit behind a computer. However, we are busy. We are not just doing anything all day. We are working, and we are creating opportunities for you. And we do have costs that we incur to create these opportunities for you.
Hey, I'm gonna just say, I had to pull it out of you, because when you in this thing, we have to. Hey, I knew all of that what you were saying, because I have ventured over into the business part, but I didn't want nobody to leave here thinking anything different from me. But I had to have you explain it to them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So at the end of the day, man, that your explanation of it is real clear. Yeah. And so for me, temp agencies, for me, because of where I came from, and I'm not going to get into that because my wife wanted to interview me the first of the year, so we're going to have all of that coming up. But temp agencies are sort of a stepping stone to you getting the way you want to be. And I'm not saying like a stepping stone like pushing you down, but a stepping stone in you raising them up. Yes. Because you give them opportunity to build a relationship with people wherever you send them to, build a relationship with them, and then being able to go on as a permanent worker. Yes. So temp agencies incur a lot of flack. You got to be customer service between you and the business. And so at the end of the day, that's what I wanted to pull out of you, because we talk about any and everything here, and we have to be real about it. And we have to bring to the table what people are going up against when they're going and say, man, I can't find a job. So let me ask you this. How much experience do you guys accept when it comes down to the drivers you bring into your temp service? Can they come straight out of an academy? At least 1 year. We require at least 1 year, but we basically tailor our hiring standards to the customer. So if the customer requires 2 years or they require 18 months, that's what we're going to require. So that's why the key is to have a large enough pool and a large enough drivers to pull from, to where you can satisfy different customer needs, because every customer is different, right? When you sign on a customer, typically what they're going to do is they're going to send you their DQ file list, like what they need to approve a driver, and you have to basically hire based on those standards, right? But for us personally, if the customer doesn't require anything specifically, or it's not stated, our drivers will have at least a year of experience. Good. And how are you guys on misplaced or people getting out of and being placed? How are you guys with that? Say that one more. I didn't understand the question when you say misplaced. Okay, so when I say misplaced, like if you have somebody who was in an abusive relationship, who was homeless, and they just obtained their CDLs. You said you needed a year, right? Yeah. anybody getting out of prison if they got a record. What's the criteria on you being able to say, hey man, we can help you, we can use you, or we can't help you, we can't use you?
Yeah, so basically, I'll give anybody a shot. I mean, there's certain things that are non-negotiable, certain offenses, certain, I mean, we have to. I mean, I could go down the whole DQ, like the whole list, but I mean, for example, DUIs, it has to be at least 7 years prior, 7 years before your previous DUI. And to be honest with you, I don't even really like to employ DUIs just personally because it's scary to me.
Right.
But if you've shown exemplary activity since that 7 years and the customer will approve, I'll look into it. But a lot of times I'll just, take my own. I just say, nah, I don't know. It depends. I have to look at the thing is you have to look at the whole body of work. Right. With everything, you have to look at the complete work. When you're looking at a driver and you look at all the paperwork they give you. Right. You're looking at their application. Right. You're looking at all the jobs they've worked. If a driver has 16, 17 jobs on an application. Right. Automatically, that's a red flag for me. Right. Because it shows me that you jump around. You're all over the place. Right. And you're probably not very dependable. Right. So then I may match that up with your MVR and I'll look at your MVR. So if you have 16 jobs, but you have a clean MVR, I may say, damn, this driver's been driving for 5 years. They got a lot of jobs. They're not very dependable, but man, they must be able to drive their ass off because they haven't had no accidents, no nothing. They're pretty clean. Right. So now I got to kind of weigh those two things. And whereas the fact that you have 16 jobs may have swayed me and made me not want to move forward with you. The fact that your MVR is clean may make me give you a shot, right? And then vice versa. So like you're always like kind of compiling all the different data points that you get, right? And you're trying to make the best decision that you possibly can. But ultimately, our customers really have the final say, right? Because we could hire anybody we want to. If our customer doesn't approve of them, then they can't work on that job. Right. And like I said, if the customer doesn't have any kind of hiring criteria, any standards, then and it's left to us, then we try to make sure that we're putting the best qualified person for the job. You got to look at their endorsements. I mean, I'm not going to send a guy who's never driven, a flatbed to a flatbed account to haul some steel. You know what I'm saying? Like it don't make no sense. Right. We gotta make it make sense. You have to know how to strap, how to tarp. These are different things that I'm looking at, and you have to just put the pieces together. I mean, there's training you could do on that. If a customer is in dire need and they say, hey, we'll make sure somebody straps it up for him. He just has to go, check the load or whatever midway through the delivery. I might have a pass if they really, really have a need, but I don't even like doing that, because ultimately my job is to minimize risk, right? Because as an employer, when I send these guys out there, if they're not qualified, even though I'm making $1, I could be losing $1 million if I send a guy out there who's unqualified for a job and he wrecks a truck or he hurts himself, right? So I have to look at different factors. When you have utility. Exactly. Because I have to look at all these different factors. If there's a job and they got them humping freight and they're pulling heavy pallet jacks and all that, they moving around water and stuff like that. I'm not going to send a 60-year-old man there. You know what I'm saying? Who I know probably got the last, vertebrae in his spine left. So he go and pop it on my watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not trying to be, it's not say anything. I mean, there's a lot of 60-year-old brothers that's out there getting it, but I'm just saying in general, you know what I'm saying? Even though you're able to operate the truck, I know I'm going to look for something that you can drop and hook and do something that's a little bit easier on you because you're at the tail end of your career. Right. You're not supposed to be out there humping freight still. Right. Let these young boys do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of different things that go into it just in terms of placement and making sure you have the right people for the right jobs. And then ultimately, like you said, it serves as that stepping stone because a lot of people end up transitioning into those same jobs that we send them hiring on full time. And now they have a career. You know what I'm saying? And that's a win-win for everybody. You know what I mean? That's a win-win for everybody. Now they have a home. You know what I'm saying? We get the feeling like we were able to place you somewhere. We found a home for you. And now that employer is able to vet a driver and they could save on some of the costs that they would have spent going through 5 or 6 drivers to get to that one that we just sent them as a temp. and now they have that driver and they're good to go. So, I mean, it really does solve a lot of problems. And I'll be honest with you, the temp agencies have a terrible name in the trucking industry. You know what I'm saying? Like, even as soon as you call a customer, you know, a cold lead, they hear temp agency, they're like, oh boy, another one. You know what I'm saying? Okay, whatever. So we have to get over those hurdles and we have to, you know, make them understand like what we do different, how we stand out. And the way we stand out is through those very things that I'm talking about. Like, you know, we make sure our drivers are vetted. We have drivers that we've had long relationships with, not just guys that we're just pulling, you know, off of Craigslist or off of Indeed. You know, these are guys who we built long-term relationships with and over the years. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, just the customer service aspect of it, making sure that, you know, before you tell me your driver didn't show up, I'm calling you to find out, did he show up? Little things like that is what goes a long way, you know, with these carriers, you know, just following up and just staying on top of things. And that's what makes you stand out as a staffing agency, because there's so many agencies out there who just do terrible customer service. So, you know, that's it. That's really it.
I'm glad you brought up that about customer service, because there's not one business that you can run and be successful at it without excellent customer service. I don't care who you are. That is one of the biggest things. And I mean, I'm just glad you brought that up, because that's extremely important.
That
James,
is the most important way that I tell people that they could stand out. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I tell people all the time, if you want to stand out from your competition, you know, have extraordinary customer service, go above and beyond, do things that nobody else is doing. Because ultimately we are all providing the same services. But if we can just go above and beyond in the experience, then people will choose you over your competitor, because it's all about experience. People want to work with people they know, they like, and they trust. And if you could do that for people, if you get the experience with working with you, you're going to go far. It's all about customer service. It's the most important thing when it comes to building your business and growing your business. How do you treat people that your customers, and how do you treat the people that work with you?
Facts. That's what's up.
I just want to say, man, as we kind of wind this down, because I don't want to keep you all night, even though we could sit here, you know, especially if we had a little cigar or something. But at the end of the day, man, I want to say, man, thank you for bringing that fire, that passion. I thank you for not holding back. I thank you for opening up. I thank you for giving people information that maybe otherwise you wouldn't get on this platform. And I just thank you for being who you are, bringing knowledge to the transportation game, and just being a genuine person, bro. You know what I mean? Just being a genuine person. And I tell my wife all the time, keep being who you are and let God worry about the others.
Yeah.
Because what space God has created for you, they can't get in it. That's reserved for you.
That's facts.
Yeah. That's reserved for you. So, bro, I appreciate it, and I'm I mean, hey, bro, we can talk all night, but I don't want to have you sitting there all night long on the podcast.
The funny thing is, I've never even talked about. I've never even shared really the staffing business on the podcast. I'm sharing it with y'all. But you know that.
Thank you.
We done brought something out of, bro.
Yeah,
we done brought something out of.
I like to shed light on other people, man. That's what I'm really in it for, to really shed light on other people. I don't really speak about myself too much, but you know, I'm passionate about my business as well, and you know what I do. And yeah, I'm glad that y'all were able to bring that out of me to give me an opportunity to talk about my business. You know what I mean? So this is dope, man. I really
we didn't even know. We didn't even know, and this is a blessing for the listeners, because I'm 100% sure that once this completely uploads to YouTube, that people are going to really get to go back and dig in and listen to it, and they're going to be blessed by this. This leads me to my last question, is definitely about how can listeners that may be I don't know how many states or cities you service in your area, but as far as your staffing company, can you plug that, give them the information that they need to send an email or however they need to get in touch with you? Because I'm sure there's somebody out there that's looking for employment, and maybe they're following us and they see this now, and you can help them. Put out your information as far as how people can connect with your business, your podcast information, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So the name of the company is Mega Driver Solutions. You can go online at www.
I want to pin that. So what's the name of it again? Mega
Driver Solutions. You can go online at www.mega-drivers.com. Mega-drivers.com. So usually we focus on local jobs, right? And it's funny because I got on Clubhouse the other night and I was, talking about staffing a little bit, just in terms of letting people kind of setting the stage, letting people know my experience so I could speak from a place of experience and not just running my mouth. And, a lot of people started hitting me up about drivers. And we don't really focus on OTR drivers. And I know a lot of people out there are looking for over-the-road drivers. That's where the need is. But we've actually started. I've talked to my partners about really maybe looking into helping people out with that. Because we more so cater to the mid-size to larger carriers. We help them with their local accounts, with drivers who have local opportunities. OTR is really is a really difficult nut to crack in terms of recruiting for it. It's a specialized type of effort that it takes. But, if you are looking for a driver, period, definitely reach out to me. And, we could do an intake form, kind of figure out exactly what you're looking for, what you need. And, if I can help you, I'll let you know that I can help you. If I can't, I'll be totally transparent with you. And not to say I can't, but I'll say that's not necessarily my wheelhouse, because we like to stay in our lane too. We're a niche company. Right. So if it's outside of our niche, we may say, that's not really what we do. But if you'd like to continue, you want us to help you out, we'll give it a shot. But I don't want to set any unrealistic expectations for anybody. You know what I mean? I always want to just put that out there on the platform. If you need a driver, definitely reach out to me. You can email me directly at RJ Wattley, WATTLEY at mega-drivers.com. You can email me directly. Just let me know the name of your business, what you're looking for. Just give me a brief synopsis of your company, how many drivers you're looking for, and we can go from there, and we could work. But I just like to be very clear, go ahead.
So give us a location. Where you located?
So we're located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. However, we can find drivers and staff drivers anywhere throughout the United States. So we have companies. Okay. Our drivers are our employees. They work for us directly. So that's another thing that a lot of companies and a lot of carriers don't like, because a lot of the drivers are 1099 who work through lease companies. Our drivers aren't 1099. They are employees. They do work for us. So, and we can employ anybody throughout the U.S., any state.
Okay.
And let me get that handle again on that email address, RJ Wattley.
RJ Wattley at mega-drivers.com.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
I want to put that in here. The viewers are saying that this is another great podcast. As usual, they learned so much today. That's coming from Mr. Charles Tolliver. I have Hustle Hall, my boy. He said he learned a lot today. This has definitely been a blessing, man. I tell you, I'm just excited because we definitely got to, the nitty gritty when it came down to a lot of things, especially, man, I didn't know you was out there helping people like that. You really serving, man. And that's what I'm talking about. I have been, I believe in being a servant leader. I believe in exceeding your client's expectation. I believe that everything you said, man, is so amazing. You say these things, I didn't realize how much me and you are on the same page.
Oh, and also, just so they know, they can reach us at 888-544-1744 as well. 888-544-1744 if they want to call the office and reach us.
Okay.
Man, good deal, man. Hey, bro. You did it.
This was dope, man. Listen, thank you so much for reaching out. I appreciate y'all. It's definitely it's interesting being on the other side of the questions, but I love it, man. And to everybody out there who listen in, I appreciate y'all so much. Keep doing what y'all doing. Listen, let me give y'all some advice real quick, right? Let's just throw this out at y'all real quick. Listen, stay consistent. Right? Don't stop doing what y'all doing. Right? Make sure y'all doing this every week when y'all say y'all made this commitment to your audience, to people who listen and who follow you. Make sure that you are fulfilling your promise to be here every Sunday, right? Freight trapping, because that's what's going to grow this audience. It just takes time to build that momentum, but stay consistent. Keep on doing what y'all doing. Keep on, leading with love. Y'all have something that is different. You're the husband and wife couple. I love it. You know what I mean? Like it's super dope. And both of you guys have different perspectives of the industry. So you could offer so much in terms of experience to the people who listen to you guys. So just stay consistent. Keep on doing it. Keep the content coming. In any way that I could, help you guys out or contribute, I got you. You know what I'm saying? And that's real talk. I'm not saying that because we're on live on YouTube. Just let me know what you need and I got your back, man. And that goes for anybody out there who's doing good work and helping to empower our community. Reach out to me. Anybody will tell you, if you slide in my DMs, I answer everybody. It may take a couple days or a couple weeks, but I answer everybody because I'm not too big or too anything like all that other corny stuff to sit there and answer a person who reaches out to me in the DM. You know what I'm saying? And if I can't answer a question,
you about to start me up now, because that's what I was saying.
If I can't answer the question, I'm going to direct you to the person who can. You know what I'm saying? Like, in 2021, man, let's start really, really working together. Let's start like really living this collaboration over competition stuff. Let's start really living this we stronger together stuff. Let's stop saying it and let's stop being about it, man. You can't be in the closet not helping out your folks, man, when it comes time for you to step up to the plate. You know what I mean? And you talking all that talk, man. Like we got to really, really work together. And that's what I'll leave you guys with, because that's what I'm all about. And that's what I want to be known for. I want to be known as the guy who, when I reached out, he was there. He helped me out. He did what he could do. It may not been everything, but I did what I could. You know what I mean? And ultimately, I can't help everybody, but I do my best to try to, to try to do what I can, to contribute to the community, man. So that's what we're here for, and that's what we're gonna keep on doing. That's gonna never change.
I appreciate you saying that and putting that out there in the atmosphere, because that I definitely agree with. I think that we got to come together. 2021, it has to look different. I'm not in the limelight. I'm just kind of laid back. I would love to work with a lot of people that I see, on social media, but I'm real reserved and quiet. I that's what I want to see. More peace, more collaboration. Competition. I'm like, what is that? Right? Like, what is competition? It's just like, I've never in my life, I can never remember, besides when I played basketball, was when I was the most competitive. But you can learn from everybody, and everybody brings some value. I want to see, more of us, people that look like us, come together and really build something special going into 2021, because it's a lot of room for everybody. And so that's what's up. I appreciate you saying that. We like to end with a health tip. It's something my husband started when we started the podcast, and normally he'll have one available. But I just kind of want to reiterate what I said on last week is, definitely for those listening, fellas, prostate exams, make sure you set up for your new man and women physical exams. Do a full blood workup panel. I'm a 41-year-old woman whose mother was diagnosed with colon cancer at the age of 45. So I have to take these things really, seriously, and take these things into consideration, even though I don't have any health conditions, even though I fought and I did survive COVID-19. I'm still healthy, and I'm still pushing and pressing my way through. So the health tip for tonight is definitely, man, make sure y'all sign and get y'all, the new year's getting ready to start. So, you know, your benefits finna start over. Get your health, your full well man and well women exams. Women, get your mammograms, do that. Check your colon if you're at least the age of 40. And then fellas, get your prostate checked. I don't know if James had a health tip tonight.
You got it.
Well, I'm grateful to have you here. We're not going to hold you long, but we had you here and you came strong. And so we appreciate you on tonight. We'll let you end here. And I'll be talking to you soon. I'm 100% sure of that.
No doubt. I'm honored. I'm honored. And thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your platform.
Oh, one thing I'm going to do for you.
What's up, brother?
All right. My wife going to get your information. I'm going to send you one of these millionaire freight trapping.
Hoodies.
Because you are a trap king, bro.
Yeah.
You're a trap king, bro.
Well, there we go. I got some swag.
Yeah, and this is
listen, talking about supporting each other too. This is my brother, Highway Bully, right? I told him, yo, send me some merch. I'm gonna rock your shirt. You know what I'm saying? And kind of give you a little bit of, you know, a little love. And I mean, it's a dope shirt. Check it out, Highway Bully. If y'all like that, check him out. Yeah. But yo, this is what it's about, man. We have to rep each other, man. We gotta be together, man. This is the only way we're gonna build it up. We gotta rep each other's brands. We gotta just, you know,
is he on Instagram? We're gonna go straight there and purchase.
Highway Bully, yep. Check him out on Instagram.
Yeah, we're gonna purchase.
Yeah, we finna go support, man. We real big on
love,
support, Black-owned businesses, man. Get your merch, pre-order your. Man, these are custom sweatshirts.
You're not gonna see no jersey in the label. You're not gonna see Haynes his or her way. These are custom. Yeah, they did. They fit it. So, you know, I'm gonna get with you to see what size you want. They fit it. They swagged out. We're gonna send you one. We appreciate you coming on tonight, and we appreciate everything you're doing in the community and in the industry. And we appreciate you, man. We really do.
I love it. Tawana, James, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all, man. It was dope. This was an awesome opportunity.
Thank you.
Man, much love. Stay safe from the H, baby. Straight from the H.
All right.
Peace out.
Take care.
All right.
Take care, bro.
Yes, sir. We did that. That is Mr. Truck and Hustle himself.
He
is out. He came and blessed us on tonight. We had a great evening with you guys.
Man.
And man, that was a wealth of knowledge, man. Things we didn't even know.
Yep. And he brought it. He brought something to the trap.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't get nothing else, man, replay this. Subscribe, like. You don't take it. You know,
cost you anything.
Subscribe.
And share it. Let other people hear the blessing, because you don't know who's in your area that need the services that this gentleman provides. You can find him on Instagram at Truck and Hustle, and that's TRUCK, the letter N, and then Hustle, HUSTLE. You can find him on YouTube at Truck and Hustle Podcast. You can also audio stream any of his episodes. I am episode 22, home-based business, how to create your own freight dispatching business from the privacy of your home. So if there's nothing else, I am excited. He also mentioned a company called Highway Bully. You know, support them on Instagram. Highway, HIGHWAY, Bully, BULLY. Get you some merch, but we definitely will be having our website up and coming really soon, within the next 24 to 48 hours, where you guys can go in and start pre-ordering your Freight Trapping Podcast hoodies. I think that we got them. We're going to have them on sale for like $69. They are custom made. They're fitted. They swagged out. They comfortable. I love it. I look good in it. Hey, and my husband look good in his. We got sweater cap with the FT for freight trapping. We're gonna have some snapbacks coming out. We got some great things for you guys. So we surely appreciate you guys for all your support, and we're gonna go ahead and end tonight.
And I'm gonna end this on this here. You know, I always gotta hit you with an inspirational quote. Sometimes you will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never understand the moment that you sit in until that moment has long passed and you think back on it. So make every moment, take every moment that you have in your life, hold on to it, grasp it, eat it, digest it, and don't take it for granted. This has been the Freight Trapping Podcast, and we out. Peace. No other words to say, no other way to feel. Oh, but anything I feel that we out? All right.